Hello, music fans. Welcome to Death by Unicorn, where I talk about metal, rock, and prog music. And I never thought this day would come, but I am excited to hear that there's a new Opeth song, and they included Death Growls Again. Woo! I never thought we'd hear that again since they abandoned those in 2008. That was the last time they released a song with Death Growls from their album Watershed. Since then, they released 4 albums that are more influenced by 70s prog rock and have no death growls or no death metal music on them. But now they brought it back with their newest track, Section 1. Or, yeah, it's just kind of like a symbol before the number 1. I think the symbol denotes the section, a section of a will, because the album is going to be called Last Will and Testament, I believe is the name of it. So I think it's a concept album where each track on the album is a different section of the will. So this song, Section 1, I guess is the opening track on the album. It doesn't immediately start with death growls, so it takes a little while before giving those old school Opeth fans what they've been wanting for a long time. The song has a lot of creepy, spooky, evil vibes to it, and it alternates back and forth between clean singing and death growls. The title of the YouTube video I watched for this song says radio edit, so maybe that means there will be a longer version on the album. I'm interested to hear what the longer version would be, if this is like a shortened radio edit version. The album's coming out on October 11th, and it's quickly become my most anticipated album of the year now after hearing this. So yeah, it's called The Last Will and Testament, coming October 11th. Opeth, check it out. And it is a concept album telling a post-World War I tale of a wealthy conservative patriarch whose last will and testament reveals shocking family secrets. So it looks like the first 7 tracks will all be titled simply, like really boring song titles, just titled Section 1, Section 2, and so on all the way to Section 7. Like they are the different sections of the will. And it's only the 8th and final track that has an actual song title. It's called The Story Never Told. Now, I have to say, while I'm really happy to hear that Section 1 has death growls again, I do still really like Opeth's material without death growls. I like both their earlier progressive death metal sound as well as their later progressive rock sound. But I do prefer the mid-era Opeth around, the string of albums from Blackwater Park, or even from Still Life to Watershed. That's kind of my favorite period of Opeth's discography. But I like, they don't make bad music, so I like all their prog rock stuff. But it's not like this song, Section 1, is like their best song of all time or anything. It is a really exciting song to hear. Probably, though, if I'm ranking it among Opeth songs, maybe right now, since I'm excited about it, maybe it's like my 21st favorite. So I figured in this video I'd give you my quick top 20 favorite Opeth songs, just as a celebration of new Opeth music coming. And I'll talk about them from number 20 to number 1. There was a live stream over on the Prog Corner YouTube channel recently where they did their top 10 Opeth songs, and that really got me thinking about this. So shout out to that YouTube channel. Check it out. A great prog channel. Without further ado, here's my top 20 Opeth songs to celebrate the upcoming Opeth release. Starting with number 20, it's Bleak from Blackwater Park, the second track on the album. Middle Eastern vibes with great main riff, great death growls as always, but also some great singing, and Steven Wilson does backing vocals on this track. Number 19 is Coil from Watershed, the opening track, a soft acoustic track that's all clean vocals and is a duet between Mikhail Ackerfeld and Natalie Lorix. I'm not sure if I pronounced her name right, but she does the female vocals on this track. And I remember learning this track, Coil, on guitar at one point, and it's a fun one to play, but I've likely forgotten it at this point. Number 18, I have Reverie, Harlequin Forest from Ghost Reveries. It's the 5th track on that album. I love the ending rhythmic breakdown. It's reminiscent of the ending of Deliverance, which I also love. I'm just a sucker for these rhythmic instrumental breakdowns that just groove like that. And Reverie, Harlequin Forest, and Deliverance are like my two favorite riffs like that in Opeth's discography. My 17th favorite Opeth track right now is The Garroter from Incauda Venenum, the 8th track from their newest album. It starts with amazing classical guitar playing that has some beautiful piano, then it goes all jazzy. It's a very unique sounding song in Opeth's discography, The Garroter from Incauda Venenum. Number 16 is Godhead's Lament from Still Life, the second track on the album. It's very evil sounding, very heavy. Number 15 is The Leper Affinity from Blackwater Park. It's the opening track. It just punches you right in the face with heaviness, evil sounds, dissonance, and death growls right away. But then it ends with some beautiful, soft piano playing. Number 14, I have Wreath from Deliverance, the opening track. It starts with an iconic growled, and then has a killer riff. Just a fun song to listen to. And then number 13, I have Heir Apparent from Watershed, the second track right after the beautiful soft opening track Coil that I already mentioned. This track, Heir Apparent, hits you with a dissonant chord right away. Then a great riff, kind of has a creepy vibe to it. Number 12, I have a song from the prog rock era, which is Moon Above, Sun Below from Pale Communion, the third track from this album. It's kind of jazzy, but also reminiscent of classic 70s prog rock. At number 11, I have Sorceress from the album Sorceress, also from their softer prog rock era. This is the second track on that album. It starts with a great keyboard riff, then a really heavy, low chugging riff that's really catchy and possibly the heaviest riff they have in their catalog since Watershed until maybe this new album or this new track, Section 1. Sorceress, definitely a track to check out for that album, the best song on the album. Number 10 Opeth song is Demon of the Fall from My Arms Your Hearse. It's the 6th track on the album, and I'll spoil my list a bit by saying it's the earliest Opeth track that I've put on my list because I do find their first two albums are a bit too raw in the production for my taste, and also the composition in the first two albums just jumps around, kind of feels random to me, seemingly random, where there's parts in the songs that don't seem related to each other, and it just transitions are jarring. Like one section it's like all out intense like black metal or death metal, and then it just goes to like soft folky acoustic randomly, and it makes no sense. But I think on this song, Demon of the Fall from My Arms Your Hearse, they really found the sound that they would continue to develop from here, and it's the point in their career where I can tell that they shift into greatness, and I can start to see their greatness emerging. The first two albums aren't bad. Don't take this as me knocking them too much. It's just not my favorites. For many other bands, it could be like their first two albums might be better than most other bands' best albums. But for me, with a band this great, I love their other albums besides those two more. Number 9 is Window Pane from Damnation. It's the opening track on their first album where they had no death growls. But for this album, they actually went back to death growls afterwards, so it wasn't like the period where they completely shifted away from them. But Window Pane just has beautiful, clean electric guitars and acoustic guitars as well, with some Mellotron and some great lead guitars here. And number 8, I have Slither from Heritage, the 4th track from their 2011 album, where they truly, completely abandoned death growls for good until just this week, when they released their new song, Section 1. Slither just has an awesome opening riff. I've seen them play this live, and it's a great live track too. The guitar solo on this song, Slither, is great as well. Nice, soft, classical guitar outro too. Really cool song. Number 7, I have Universal Truth from Incauda Venenum, their 7th track on the album. Definitely has a bit of a Steven Wilson vibe to it, and the music video is great as well, very sad and emotional, and also reminds me of many Steven Wilson music videos from The Raven That Refused to Sing and from Hand Cannot Erase era. Sorry, yawning mid-video. That's common for me. I always record these in the evening, so bear with me. Number 6, I have Grand Conjuration from Ghost Reveries, the 7th track. Awesome opening riffs. I remember learning this one on guitar as well and it being pretty fun. Number 5, I have The Moor from Still Life. The opening track, it fades in and starts really quiet. It's very eerie and creepy and makes me feel like I'm starting a horror movie for the first almost 2 minutes of the song. Then there's some beautiful classical and acoustic guitars that come in, but it still feels like really creepy the whole way through. Number 4, I have Blackwater Park from Blackwater Park, the album. The title track here it's the 8th track and final track of the album if you don't count the bonus tracks that were on the reissue. Listening to this song is just a real journey of emotions. It bounces back and forth between heavy and brutal versus soft and beautiful, just perfectly. At number 3, I have Deliverance, the title track from the album Deliverance. It's the 2nd track, and it starts with very dissonant riffs with lots of tritones. I like the ending rhythmic part, even though I've heard some people say it goes on for a while. But it's one of my 2 favorite Opeth groovy rhythmic breakdowns, with the other one being Reverie, Harlequin Forest that I mentioned earlier from Ghost Reveries. And it's amazing to see the track Deliverance played live as well. You just can't help but just like tap along to the rhythm. It's so good. Yeah, just over and over again. Really good. Number 2 is The Lotus Eater from Watershed, the 3rd track on the album. Opeth can make hitting a major chord really quickly over a blast beat just sound so evil. You wouldn't really think that would sound evil, but it does. And then my favorite Opeth track is maybe a predictable pick, but it's Ghosts of Perdition from Ghost Reveries. The opening track on that album, it's the best track to introduce someone to Opeth with, in my opinion. It's just shocking how hard the opening growl just punches you in the face, and the guitar riffing through the whole song is great. There's beautiful clean acoustic parts on here as well. And that's my top 20 favorite Opeth songs. Hope you enjoyed me ad-libbing some rhythm there with my mouth. You have to listen to the actual song. I can't do it justice by just like humming along and tapping on my leg to the rhythm. So if you are a prog metal or prog rock fan and you haven't heard Opeth yet, you definitely have to hear them. Listen to these 20 songs on my list, and yeah, you have to be ready for death growls. Maybe if you're not a fan of that, some of these songs won't be to your liking, but they have a lot of great songs without those as well. I think there's something in their discography for everyone. Truly a great band. Really looking forward to their album coming in October. Last Will and Testament, October 11th. Pumped for it. Maybe I'll end up doing a full-length album review of it when it comes out because I'm that excited for it. I don't do too many full lengths. I usually just give quick first impressions, but this is a monumental occasion. Band that I love this much putting out an album, so I might talk about it at length. So stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button on my channel if you want to hear my thoughts on that album. And I talk about new albums that come out every week in metal, rock, and prog. So you've come to the right place if you want to get album recommendations. Stay tuned for next time. Peace out.